A federal judge slams the Mueller team. No, a president cannot be indicted for the 10,000th time. And NBC News is a pathetic joke.
Big breaking news, an NBC News exclusive investigation. We are learning that federal investigators wiretapped the phone lines of Michael Cohen.
We have a correction. It's not a wiretap where they're listening into the phone calls, but something else.
It all starts now.
This is where freedom reigns.
If you believe in America, if you believe in the Constitution empowers us. It's a new day. America's back. America's back, and America's going to get strong again. We're going to defend America, and we're going to defend our interests.
Liberty's voice, Levin TV.
Hello, America. I'm Mark Levin. This is Levin TV on CRTV, Conservative Review TV.
Wow, lots going on. Let's start with this judge in Virginia, the Eastern District of Virginia. It's called, right outside of Washington, D.C. This particular court, this courthouse in Old Town Alexandria, I'm quite familiar with it. It's not too far from where I hail these days. They have what's called the rocket docket. And what that means is you have a group of district court judges who do not let grass grow under their feet. And they move quickly, and they expect things to be briefed quickly. They expect oral arguments to, keep their cases in order. It's also a unique court in that so many of these cases, espionage cases, CIA cases, FBI cases, federal contractor cases, come through this court because, well, where are they? They're in the same district as the Pentagon. They're in the same district as the CIA in Northern Virginia. So they see a lot of things, and it's really hard to fool these guys. And so that's where I wanted to start here, in that courthouse. This morning, something took place. And my only concern is sometimes judges say things that they don't follow up, and I hope this judge follows up on his rhetoric because it was excellent. And what took place here is there's a hearing where Manafort's team is challenging the constitutionality of what this special prosecutor, Mueller, and so forth are doing. A federal judge on Friday harshly rebuked, this is from Fox, special counsel Robert Mueller's team during a hearing for ex-Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, suggesting they lied about the scope of the investigation, are seeking unfettered power, and are more interested in bringing down the president. Sounds like me. Maybe I should put a black robe on and go into that courthouse. You don't really care about Mr. Manafort, U.S. District Judge T.S. Ellis III told Mueller's team. You really care about what information Mr. Manafort can give you to lead you to Mr. Trump and an impeachment or whatever. Wow. As I say, this is what he said. Let's hope he follows up. Ellis demanded to see the unredacted scope memo, a document outlining the scope of the special counsel's Russia probe that congressional Republicans have also sought. He's saying, okay, I want to know exactly what your scope is. That's what's being challenged here. And as you'll see later on, they say, okay, we'll give you the redacted copy. He said, you don't give me a redacted copy. I want to see all of it. The hearing where Manafort's team fought to dismiss an 18-count indictment on tax and bank fraud-related charges took a confrontational turn as it was revealed, listen to this, at least some of the information in the investigation derived from an earlier Justice Department probe in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Virginia. We've talked about this. Matter of fact, I think I've said multiple times, if Manafort did all this stuff, wouldn't they already know about it in the U.S. Attorney's Office? Wouldn't they already have known about it at the FBI? Maybe they looked at it. Maybe they passed on it. That was some of the reporting that was out there. So what is the special counsel doing with that? And I guess the judge wants to know the same thing. He's saying, well, you're getting information from the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Virginia from years ago. Now, again, we'll see how he ultimately rules on this. Manafort's attorneys argued the special counsel does not have the power to indict him on charges they have brought and seem to find a sympathetic ear with Ellis. The Reagan-appointed judge asked Mueller's team where they got the authority to indict Manafort on alleged crimes dating back as far as 2005. These are rational, pertinent questions that we have asked right here. I mean, you're supposed to be investigating the campaign, Russian collusion, Russian interference, and so forth. What does it have to do with 2005 and all the rest of it? Now, the special counsel argues, as we've pointed out here, that Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein granted them broad authority in his May 2, 2017 letter appointing Mueller to this investigation. But after the revelation that the team is using information from the earlier Department of Justice probe, Ellis said that information did not arise, quote unquote, out of the special counsel probe, and therefore may not be within the scope of that investigation. In other words, they didn't find information related to the probe. It was sitting in the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District. So that would not relate to the expanded powers that even Mueller's claiming, the judge is suggesting. We don't want anyone with unfettered power, he said. Mueller's team says its authorities are laid out in documents including the August 2017 scope memo, and that some powers are actually secret because they involve ongoing investigations and national security matters that cannot be publicly disclosed. Ellis seemed amused and not persuaded. Of course, these judges in this courthouse, in this federal district, have seen this stuff left and right. He summed up the argument of the special counsel's office as, quote, "We said this was what the investigation was about, but we are not bound by it, and we are lying." You see, he's saying they're making two arguments here. They're saying, look, we have this, you know, we were told what to investigate and so forth and so on, but we're not bound by it. Well, he says, well, then you're kind of canceling, one's kind of canceling out the other. He referenced the common exclamation from NFL announcers saying, come on, man. The judge also gave the government 2 weeks to hand over the unredacted scope memo or provide an explanation why not, after prosecutors were reluctant to do so, claiming it has material that doesn't pertain to Manafort. And you know what the judge said? I'll be the judge of that. And so Republicans have sought the whole memo unredacted, and the Justice Department has refused. So somebody needed to step in here and try and get to the bottom of this. I'm really hopeful this judge will not back down. He'll not start to curtail his demands. Somebody needs to get to the bottom of this. He should look at the entire scope memo because that's what's being challenged here. And he's got his general frame of what's going on correct, that they're really going after Trump. They're beating the hell out of Manafort. They're trying to crush this guy. They're trying to tear him from limb to limb. They're trying to intimidate him. Remember, they went after his son-in-law. They went after one of his lawyers. They went after his press agent. They went into his home at 6 a.m. with guns drawn, absolutely outrageous and over the top. They've done all these things to Manafort. They've not only brought cases in Northern Virginia, the Eastern District, but they've also brought the cases in Washington, D.C. They're trying to try him in 2 separate districts. Eventually that would be combined, but they're doing everything they can to break this man. And so far, and I've told you this before, Manafort's not breaking. They may break him financially, but he's not breaking. And so these arguments that these judges have been making, that we've been making here too, people have, well, nobody's going to go for that. Nobody's going to go for that. I hope they do go for that, which is also why I've made the point about the President of the United States standing firm on the Constitution too, and standing firm on that Department of Justice memoranda. Now, rather than me repeating it all and so forth, I said it all on Hannity last night, for the 15th time? And we're going to play this from the Fox News channel because I think it's important. I want to get it out there. It's out on the internet. It's being played by Fox, in addition to having been originally played. And it wouldn't make any sense if here on Levin TV I ignored what I said. So we're going to play it. I really want to press it. I want to push it out to as many places as we possibly can. So let's watch this, all right? I'm not used to sitting around watching myself. In fact, I don't even sit around and listen to myself and tapes of my radio show. But here, I want you to take a look. Go.
As Mueller's witch hunt continues, you might remember the great one, Mark Levin, right here on this show last summer, explaining the DOJ policy that says a sitting president cannot be indicted. This is something the media kind of forgets. Take a look.
It's been the position of the United States Department of Justice under Republicans and Democrats in a 1973 memorandum and an October memorandum under the Clinton administration that you cannot indict a sitting president. Not that this president would be, that's not my point. As a matter of constitutional interpretation, for 44 years, that's been the position of the Department of Justice. We've had law professors, homeless people, would-be law professors all over TV and radio talking about obstruction of justice. We've had media types talking about it. We've had members of Congress talking about it. It doesn't matter. The official position of the Justice Department is we don't charge a sitting president with a crime.
Now, Mark reiterated that point on this show just a few weeks ago. You may remember.
A sitting president's amenability to indictment and criminal prosecution, the indictment or criminal prosecution of a sitting president would unconstitutionally undermine the capacity of the executive branch to perform its constitutionally assigned functions. Page after page after page saying a sitting United States president cannot be indicted. Now, my question is this. Did they issue another memo over there at the Justice Department reversing these two memos during the Nixon administration and the Clinton administration? No.
He joins us himself with reaction. The host of CRTV's Levin TV, the host of Life, Liberty, and Levin, the #1 show, Sunday nights, 10 Eastern, right here on the Fox News Channel. I call him the Great One. Mark Levin, I wanted to play that again because, as usual, on legal matters, you're ahead of the curve. You are a constitutional attorney, and our lazy, overpaid liberal activists that call themselves journalists are wrong like 99% of the time. So I want to go through this legally tonight and give you the opportunity to explain it to them yet again.
All right, Sean. This is not me speaking. This is the Department of Justice speaking. And the position of the Justice Department has not been repealed and has not been amended since the last decision on October 16, 2000. The President of the United States, this is getting way too complicated and unnecessarily so. You've got a lot of second-tier slip-and-fall lawyers all over TV spewing things they don't know. They don't understand the Constitution. They haven't studied the cases. I have. First of all, this opinion says, among other things, that grand juries and prosecutors cannot supplant Congress. They cannot supplant Congress. The only way to remove a sitting president is through the impeachment process, not through the indictment process. They cannot disable or hamstring a presidency, which is what they're trying to do as I speak. A prosecutor cannot trigger the 25th Amendment. The 25th Amendment the purpose is not to be triggered by a prosecutor, and he can't step in and try and take advantage of it. These are things that were discussed. The president cannot properly defend himself in litigation under the Constitution as an individual American when he has time that he has to spend on official duties. Unlike so many other individuals, a president of the United States, they point out, is so unique in our constitutional system that it is enormously damaging to him because he can't focus on his defense, which is different than civil litigation, and he can't focus during that time on the nation's security and well-being. And the presidency can't function properly with these kinds of burdens. This is what the memo says. He cannot be indicted as a sitting president, period. This is why, despite all the pablum about, well, presidents have received subpoenas before, tell me, name one president who's ever been before a federal grand jury. There's never been a president in front of a federal grand jury. Ken Starr's team subpoenaed Bill Clinton for having, among other things, not sex so much with an intern in the Oval Office, but lying about litigation that was taking place. And he was subpoenaed, and he decided to do a video. So here's my advice to the President of the United States, who didn't seek it, and to his lawyers. Focus. You're making this too complicated. The Constitution is on the side of the President. The Department of Justice's own position, which you can brief yourselves, is on the side of the President of the United States. Historical precedent is on the side of the President of the United States. Legal precedent is on the side of the President of the United States. Stop listening to all the babbling, pleading the fifth, and should he sit down with a subpoena? I would say, if I were the president's lawyer to Mr. Mueller, we want you to present us with an explanation of your defiance of the Department of Justice policy, which you are required to follow as an employee of the Department of Justice. Moreover, we want to understand how it is that you believe that you can burden a president like this while he's in office. And while I'm at it, Sean, we seem to have a few Republicans in the Senate who are very confused about these things, who have voted to protect Mr. Mueller rather than protect the office of the presidency, the Constitution, and the American people. And they seem to think that they have the power, even though we have separation of powers, to tell a president who he can hire and who he can fire. The part of the problem the president has is he's dealing with ignoramuses, both inside his party and outside his party, and some of whom are dressed up as lawyers. So I would take this all the way to the United States Supreme Court. I would make